Alright, so I watched a good chunk of the Democratic debate last night, and it left me wondering if it ever dawns on people, or if anyone finds it creepy, that these people have almost literally deified government. They believe that government is capable of righting every wrong, healing every wound, and addressing every need. They also pretend as if government has not implemented for decades and decades nearly never-ending multitude of programs and initiatives to tackle the exact problems they're still talking about. How many times do we have to hear that what we need to do is simply funnel more and more money at the same problems the government has been funneling more and more money at for decades, with absolutely pitiful results that should leave them absolutely humiliated? And not only do they not solve those problems, they invariably make them worse. At what point do people actually stop, think, and realize that the industries that government has largely taken over or regulated into oblivion are the industries that are ravaged beyond recognition? Healthcare, the financial industry, housing, education. These are all the industries that these Democratic candidates are incessantly talking about, claiming they're going to be the ones to whip them into shape. Meanwhile, they're the exact industries that government has largely taken over. And coincidentally, they are the industries that have been imploding for quite some time now. No one is up there talking about consumer technology. Consumer technology, by the way, is an industry that is not heavily regulated outside of perhaps, don't let your product catch fire and don't electrocute people. But that would be something companies would do on their own anyway, as once word gets out about something like that, you're done for. But overall, consumer tech isn't even close to having the government intrusion and oversight that healthcare, finance, education, and housing has. And what happens with consumer tech? There's a huge amount of competition. There's a nearly never-ending consistent decrease in cost, and there's a consistent and drastic increase in quality and capability. As I've said before, we live lives that are almost indistinguishable to what we would have considered complete science fiction not that long ago. And it comes from private, non-governmental forces within the tech industry. An industry that, by the vantage point of these Democratic candidates, should be in shambles because, after all, politicians aren't running that show. Don't they stop for a second and wonder why that might be? So why bring this up? Well, I just wonder if these politicians on this debate stage, or better yet, do the people who support these politicians ever stop, scratch their head, and wonder why everything government touches turns into a chaotic, cluttered wreck? And the things that government actually stays out of, as of right now anyway, seems to do rather well for society? And you don't see these scenarios of pure mayhem that you do see with government-run industries? What we basically have is this. You have two types of industries, one in which government exerts massive amounts of control, influence, regulation, and oversight, and you nearly always end up seeing those industries go up in flames and get worse year after year after year. And then you have some industries that government largely leaves alone, and you seem to see them improve year after year after year. I'm not saying that this video addresses every single detail that's relevant to this discussion, but how obvious does it need to be that of all the chaos, instability, and volatility we see in the United States, the government is routinely and consistently the common denominator found within almost all of it? Hopefully, people begin to think a little bit more about that. But that's it for now. Like, subscribe, and share the video. It's always awesome, and take it easy.